This is a story of a long-time adventure. The story of a man whose vision and conviction would change the path of a family, of a country, and last for over 250 years. This man was José Ferreira Pinto Basto.
José is a very Catholic person, very much concerned with his own development, very much linked with the family. He gets involved in politics from the very beginning. He becomes a deputy in Portugal. His son also a deputy. They invest on revolutions. They are promoters and financing revolutions when they think it's important to change the situation of the country. They really are members of the society with an active role in society. Portugal in those days was very much an interesting country to develop trading. So shipping was really very important. It wasn't in the beginning the center of our operation, but it was something that we needed to do our business. The trading depended on the capacity of bringing the goods from one place to the other.
Pinto Basto's first ship set sail, marking the birth of an enduring cornerstone in maritime transport. Innovation steamed from their blood, infusing itself into the very history and modernization of the naval sector in Portugal. However, an essential chapter of this story unfolds on solid ground. In the early 19th century, the family owned several properties. None was as striking as Quinta de Forja.
José won a contest of the management of tobacco and soap business for a year in Portugal, and that was a tremendous business. So he starts to move the company from Oporto to the rest of the country, and we think, well, as he was a rich man, probably he was willing to have more properties, but that's not the fact. He starts to buy properties because he wants to develop a link between the south and the north of Portugal, and Quinta de Forja is definitely the most expensive property he buys. Is still a reference in this country because it's 1,000 hectares in the north of Portugal. It's not very normal to have a property of that size.
Under the stewardship of José's sons, the estate transformed into a thriving agricultural enterprise and became one of the leading producers of a royal grain that the people would soon get a taste of: rice.
He makes some experiences, he's developing, always looking into new opportunities, new projects, and developing the country because he doesn't do what others do. For instance, in those days, medicine was separated from surgeons. Surgeons were considered mechanics, people that were not involved in the medicine, in the hospitals, in the universities. And this was a delay on development of medicine. And he proposed to the kingdom in those days that he was ready to subsidize the union of these two activities. And this is a fantastic moment of change of the medicine in our country. He does things because he truly believes in the development of people, of the country, of everything that he touches, which is quite interesting. He does investments in industry, where he ends up by building up one very particular company, which is Vista Alegre.
In the wake of the Civil War, and after a decade of trials and perseverance, the now iconic Vista Alegre brought forth its first porcelain creations. In a country where over 80% of the population remained illiterate by the late 19th century, Vista Alegre was home to a very unique community.
Porcelain was something that was not known in Portugal. He sent his child to France to learn the secret of doing porcelain. But meanwhile, he had already invested in his own place for developing the factory. He built the factory. He builds houses for his employees. He gives them courses, how to write, how to read. He develops a theater for them to practice and also to attend, because he thinks that the cultural side of life is one of the most important things for the development of the human being. 70 years before Rerum Novarum from the church, he starts to build a company, an industrial company, that is focused on the development of each of the people that works for him. And this is the most important thing that remains in the family. I can tell you that during one of the revolutions, the last revolution we had in Portugal, we didn't have any strikes, we didn't have people complaining against the owners. They stayed with us and they helped us to develop the companies again. And this is one of the reasons why we achieved 254 years of life this year.
From generation to generation, the Pinto Basto family propelled Portugal's social and cultural development. They kicked off the introduction of football in the country, launched the first horse races, and served the inaugural game of lawn tennis, a game that would soon captivate King Carlos himself. Yet their vision extended far beyond leisure. Masters of navigation and port affairs, Pinto Basto, as custom brokers, became the lifeblood of commerce, bridging Portugal and the wider world.
On the 20th century, there is someone that is important to take as a reference, which is Eduardo Ferreira Pinto Basto. He is a grandson of José Ferreira Pinto Basto. He lived in London for 20 years. And he comes with all his family, his father and his brothers and sisters, to Portugal. And he became a shipping agent, a shipping owner, and all the shipping activities very much linked with the United Kingdom. But he brings with him this experience, the contacts, the knowledge, and we start to represent a lot of British companies. We represent a lot of companies, the Royal Mail, for instance, is represented by us. We represented Rolls-Royce selling motors to some transportation vehicles. We start the crossing of the river here in Lisbon. We were part of the shareholding of the company that started to do this business. So the sea, the shipping, starts to become really one of the major activities of the Pinto Basto group. And this gives us the capacity of becoming again the leaders of innovation, the leaders of investment, the leaders of new things in our country.
A leader in the logistics and maritime transport sector with a strong activity in insurance solutions, today Pinto Basto sails at the heart of logistics by sea, air, and land. More than a freight forwarder or shipping agent, the company is a steward of movement, navigating complexity with unwavering confidence. With a presence that reaches beyond borders and a soul firmly tied to the sea, the legacy of a visionary lives on in this relentless drive for innovation.
Being an old company, 250 years these days, we have a much bigger need of being innovators than all our competitors. We take as our role to be really aware of what's being developed around the world and trying to build it inside our own country. And this is what we've done. So we are restarting every generation. And by restarting, we are always innovators. Fortunately, it won't be me. But in any case, what I need to do is to ensure that this company is built not to make as much money as we can, not to be the biggest company in the world, but to ensure that we'll have the longest life that we can have. We never think about the company as a company, we think about the company as a family. And this is what makes us different. We have a role in the world, is to be happy and make others happy. That's the important thing.